Most of us will spend the majority of our lives in buildings and using infrastructure that provides the vital space or means for everything that we want or need to do. This built environment is also of vital importance for us, that it gives us a sense of place where we feel we belong. It is said that we build our buildings, we shape our buildings, and then our buildings shape us. The writer Ian Gale wrote that a building, any building, is something more than four walls and a roof. It necessarily carries within itself an unsuspected secret history of dreams, aspirations, and tragedies. Variously symbolic, manipulated, and manipulative, a building's relationship with mankind is as ambiguous, duplicitous, and changeable as any human drama. Our villages, towns, and cities are testament to this. They would have started out as trading or religious settlements, growing over time to become larger, organised communities. Our modern urban areas generally follow the same layouts that the original settlements would have taken. Main streets with houses and workshops leading to a market square where the business of the district would be undertaken. Narrow lanes dissecting blocks of housing and workplaces that might just be wide enough for a horse and cart. Some streets take a meandering path that followed the course of a stream or river that was subsequently covered over or filled in. Large structures such as churches, cathedrals, manor houses and warehouses would dominate and reflect the importance and status of the settlement. And there would be a protective wall to safeguard the inhabitants from whatever dangers might lie outside. Edward Hollis writes that buildings are designed to last, and therefore they outlast the insubstantial pageants that made them. Then, liberated from the shackles of immediate utility and the intentions of their masters, they are free to do as they will. Buildings long outlive the purposes for which they were built, the technologies by which they were constructed, and the aesthetics that determine their form. They suffer numberless subtractions, additions, division, and multiplications, and soon enough their form and their function have little to do with one another. This is obviously apparent if you look. Some buildings are unique, distinct, and symbolic of a place, maybe even a country, sometimes serving the purpose of tourist attraction as well as their original intention, or maybe with an entirely new role. This is equally true for many ordinary buildings as well. Former workshops and stores might now be shops, offices, bars, and restaurants. Parts of an older building may be incorporated into a new modern building, or part of an older structure may be built over, leading to a patchwork of styles and materials. And yet, we tend to take our built environment and surroundings for granted. We don't appreciate its existence as we move around or occupy the space created that enables us to go about our everyday lives. It just always seems to be there for us. However, the importance of our built environment and infrastructure at this moment in time cannot be overstated. Despite centuries of progress, several factors have brought our world to a critical, perhaps even existential moment. The global population is larger than it has ever been and is now rising faster than at any time before. More than half of us now live in cities, and millions more are migrating into urban areas. Several nations are grappling with housing crises and cannot construct homes fast enough. Our climate is changing, and our buildings now account for a very high percentage of all greenhouse gas emissions. We are also seeing the start of what is being called the fourth industrial revolution, enabled by extraordinary technology advances such as digital, robotic, and 3D technologies that are merging the physical, digital, and biological worlds and are having a major impact on what we produce and do, how and where we do it, and indeed how we earn a living. All of these may be manifestations of a shift from a modern industrial era to a postmodern, post-industrial one. The age of digital is upon us. It is part of everyday life and is disrupting and reforming industries across the globe. It may seem at times that all that is solid melts into air, to quote Karl Marx. However, we are still rooted in our physical world despite our online activities. And now, because of the global pandemic, some of these trends have accelerated to the extent that it seems we will be catapulted 30 years into the future at warp speed. Our homes have taken on a greater significance and importance as they are adapted to our new way of living, as they have had to become more multifunctional. Now, many of us have to work or study from home. Maybe in the long term it will lead to what David McWilliams has called the Great Switch, where there may be blended working between office and home, where the senseless 5 days a week commute might be over, where our location is optional, what was metropolitan urban might become more residential, what was urban rural might become more commercial. In some countries, they are talking about the 15-minute city, where your work, home, and all your amenities are within a 15-minute walk, a much more environmentally sustainable lifestyle. So it may lead to everyone living where they would like to, close to the things that they really want to do, may be able to live, work, and play somewhere along the wild Atlantic Way. Whilst the hope is that everything will return to normal once the pandemic is over, a more preferable hope might be to return to better. In any case, the result of this will be substantial changes in the ways our built environment and infrastructure is developed and experienced in the near future. The fourth industrial revolution technologies are also impacting the construction industry to a similar extent, as our building and infrastructure development shifts away from old and archaic processes. Preconceived ideas are being challenged, and the industry is building pathways towards solutions where digital and physical interact. Architects and engineers now create digital twin models of the building, and this enables access to a wide range of data that can be used by construction managers and quantity surveyors to collaboratively convert the design intent into a physical reality in the most efficient and effective ways possible. With a longer term to the future, but within the career spans of current graduates, it is predicted that the construction site of 2050 will be human-free. Robots will work in teams to build complex structures using dynamic new materials. Elements of the build will self-assemble. Drones flying overhead will scan the site constantly, inspecting the work and using the data collected to predict and solve problems before they arise, sending instructions to robotic cranes and diggers and automated builders with no need for human involvement. The role of the human overseers will be to remotely manage multiple projects simultaneously, accessing 3D and 4D visuals and data from the on-site machines, ensuring the build is proceeding to specification. The very few people accessing the site itself will wear robotically enhanced exoskeletons and will use neural control technology to move and control machinery and other robots on site. It is worth noting that there is still a human side to this technological change. These two new technologies promote a way of working or mindset rather than a physical object or an entity. It is people that make the digital transformations work, not the technology itself. And given all of this technological change, a more appropriate view of construction professionals suggests that they should be considered to be sophisticated users of technology and data, not just stereotyped wielders of bricks, concrete, and steel. To a large extent, the construction industry has not shouted about its successes, while mistakes, delays, or cost overruns often lead the news. The industry doesn't get enough credit for its major achievements and its inherent ability to adapt time and time again. In reality, it is hugely creative, adaptive, industrious, and resilient, and every day men and women from the industry are quite literally building the future. So how can someone become part of this industry that has immense influence over the shape of the world that billions of us experience every day, that enables almost every role in society, whose output lasts for generations and touches more of the population than any other, that has the ability to overcome the challenges that are being faced throughout the world and make a positive difference? The best starting point is to come and study for a construction professional qualification here in CIT MTU. Our construction professional programs provide our students with the necessary creative, technical, and business skills that form the basis for a very rewarding professional and managerial career in a vibrant and dynamic industry. There are two specialist degree options to choose from. The construction management degrees, CAO CR 572, CR 052, equip our students with the necessary skills for the overall planning, coordination, and control of a building development from start to completion. And the quantity surveying degrees, CAO CR 570, CR 052, prepare our students to manage the finances of a building development from initial calculations to the final cost. Come and study with us to become creative, industrious, resilient, adaptable, sophisticated users of technology and data, and build the future, whatever it might be.